Ladies and gentlemen, this is your AEW Dynamite review on Wednesday. I almost said Wednesday, Friday, Friday night. Technically, it's Saturday morning, but we're gonna say Friday night, June 11th, 2021. I'm Joseph Conlon here to review Dynamite. Uh, After last week's show. Definitely an upgrade from last week. I feel like we got really nothing out of last week's show, and also I felt lonely last week. It's my fault, but dude, I felt lonely, man. But it's all right. I got my buddy back. I got my buddy back tonight. You already know. You already know. Wes Williams is back on the channel. And before we start, I gotta thank Wes for hooking me up to get a first time ever interview on the Big Fight Field channel this coming Monday on the channel with Danny Limelight, an AEW wrestler. So I gotta thank you for that one. He's the one who reached me out about it, and it's like, you know what, that'd be a great idea, and I'm gonna reach out to Danny. And man, just thank you so much, man. We got our first ever interview Monday. Me, you, and Danny Limelight on the Big Fight Field channel. How cool is that?
Man, it's a recipe made in heaven, if I do say so myself, man. I mean, this is honestly a dream come true for me. I've never had the honor of interviewing a pro wrestler, and man, I couldn't think of a better pro wrestler than the radioactive poppy, Danny Limelight, man. One of my favorites in AEW. I've loved watching his work and on Elevation and on Dark, and he's even made an appearance on Dynamite. And man, I cannot wait to ask away whatever questions we have for him come Monday, folks. You better tune in. You better tune in. It's going to be 12:30 Central Time, 1:30 Eastern Time, where Joseph is. You better tune in this Monday, on June the 14th. June 14th is Monday. Better tune in. It's our biggest video yet. We're going to be interviewing the radioactive poppy, Danny Limelight, from AEW, from New Japan. He's working all around, man. He never sleeps. He's always working, and man, I cannot wait. But tonight, we're here to talk about AEW Dynamite. It's been a long week off since we last collabed, and we weren't together last week, unfortunately, but we're back in action. The dynamic duo is back, and we're ready to give you the best play-by-play analysis, like we always do, of AEW Dynamite tonight on Friday night, not the normal Wednesday night. We got one more Friday night Dynamite to look forward to next week, but after that, we're going to be having that big Saturday night special, and then back to the normal schedule, Wednesday night Dynamite. I cannot wait. I really missed Wednesday night Dynamite, but let's go ahead and talk about Friday night Dynamite tonight.
Just to clarify on the interview, it's not going to be a live interview. We will do the interview, and then right after the interview, I will upload that to the Big Fight Field channel, where all of you will be able to listen to that. But for tonight's show, it was a great show, I thought. A tale of two shows. I got to admit, with this, I hate this whole Friday night thing because it's a long day. Waking up early. People are working. Man, I was getting tired. Like during the Lance Archer match, I'd say tonight I was getting pretty tired, and I do go back to work tomorrow, but luckily it's only a 4-hour shift. But I hate I hate these Friday night shows. That I'm pumped when they're done the Friday night shows and they do Saturday Night Live and go back to Wednesdays. That's gonna be awesome. But before we talk about the show and everything that happened on tonight's Friday Night Dynamite, I want to talk about the rating last week. Unfortunately, the negativity. AEW drew under 500,000 views last week, and people are wondering if this is going to affect the Rampage show, which is the same scheduled time slot as this one, except it's only 1 hour. And instead of getting done at midnight, it's going to get done at 11 o'clock Eastern time. But a lot of people are worried if this is going to have an effect on the Rampage ratings. Friday night, a lot of people are out in the summer of August. I hope they get good ratings. I think it's a big deal. It's a big deal for AEW, and I absolutely want it to be a success. So before we start reviewing tonight's Dynamite, I gotta get your thoughts on all the stuff I just talked about, and if this is gonna be a problem for Rampage.
Yeah, the ratings definitely haven't been very kind to AEW since they've been temporarily moved to Fridays because of the NBA playoffs. Thankfully, this won't be an issue anymore for Dynamite now that they're moving to TBS. So at least with Dynamite, they'll be all right and they'll remain on the Wednesday nights. But yeah, Rampage. It's a lot of people have been talking about it on social media. What's to come of Rampage now? With it being 1 hour, I do believe it's going to definitely be a lot easier to consume rather than just 2 hour episode of Dynamite. So, you look back at like NXT when it was 1 hour, it was so much easier to consume than what it is now with it being 2 hours. And I mean, I've been, preaching this for the longest time too, of how NXT, ever since it moved to 2 hours, it's like you could still consume it, but it was so much easier to consume it 1 hour because it flowed really nicely and it left you with wanting more and more each and every single week. And so with Rampage, it's definitely something to look out for, how the ratings will be affected in any way, given that AEW only drew 463,000 last week. I feel like the rating this week could be a little bit higher, but yeah, it's definitely a topic to discuss. But in my opinion, I feel like with it being 1 hour, it'll be easier to consume. I feel like more people will probably still show interest and look into it. Of course, we're both definitely going to watch Rampage when that does happen in August. But hopefully, I'm hoping for the best though with AEW. I feel like if they just garner enough interest on Dynamite and they set up some pretty big matches for Rampage, that will garner enough interest for people to tune in and really talk about AEW. I mean, Dynamite was trending #1 tonight on Twitter, which was a really cool thing to see. So, I'm not too worried about it. It's just definitely something to be looking out for once we get to August.
Yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day, we just want this to succeed, and I'm excited for Rampage. I really am, to see what Tony Khan has up his sleeve for when AEW does Rampage. But before we talk about the Dynamite show from tonight, if you guys have not already, gotta get the promotions out of the way. Make sure you guys go check out my videos from this past week. We got Raw, we got NXT, we got a baseball vlog at the Phillies game, and we did NXT TakeOver in your house preview and predictions with Cameron Johnson and Escobar Morales. I uploaded that earlier today on the channel. All 4 of those videos are available now. You can go check them out after this review. So, my friend, are you ready to dive into the action?
And, we didn't bring the fire last week, unfortunately, but we're back tonight. AEW Friday Night Dynamite once again, folks. Let's bring the fire back into fold tonight.
So we start off the evening with Christian Cage going one-on-one with Angelico of TH2. Matt Hardy was on the side of Angelico's as well as his tag team partner Jack Evans. I felt like that with the whole Hardy family office stuff. They had TH2 in the Hangman rivalry, and now they bring them back into the. Are they an official part of the Hardy family office now?
I honestly have no idea. I feel like they're probably not officially part of Hardy family office, but Matt Hardy's like they're still kind of like henchmen for Matt Hardy in a way. I'd still say it's really just Private Party and the Butcher and the Blade and the Bunny that are a part of Hardy family office officially. I don't know. It's kind of just feels like Angelico and Jack Evans are kind of there and they're slightly helping out. So
Yeah. So this was a solid match, I thought, to open up the show. Christian Cage gets the win with a devastating kill switch onto Angelico. He gets the win in 10 minutes. After the match, Jack Evans goes to attack Christian, and Christian fights him off. Matt Hardy sets him up for the twist of fate. He goes for another twist of fate, and Jungle Boy is there to save Christian, and Matt Hardy is running off. So solid match to open up the show, and it looks like we could be going for a Christian Matt Hardy match possibly in the near future. We got some big shows coming up for AEW, which we're going to talk about after this. So, your thoughts on the opening the opening match?
Yeah, very good match between Angelico and Christian Cage. Yeah, we're definitely building towards a Christian Cage Matt Hardy match. I could see it happening on the Saturday special that they're having, with of course, being headlined by Jungle Boy and Kenny Omega. I could see it happen at the Road Rager event, July 7th in Miami. I mean, it's definitely going to come eventually. I feel like it's definitely going to happen on at least probably one of the special shows they have coming up in July. But I'm looking forward to it though. It should be a good match. I mean, given the history, especially between Christian Cage and Matt Hardy, there's definitely a lot of history there between those two guys. But I think this will be a nice little feud, nice little interim feud for Christian. Before I think they're probably going to set him up for a bigger program after this, and then of course Jungle Boy is kind of tied in with this a little bit as well. That's an interesting little part of the story. Of course, Jungle Boy and Christian Cage were the final two in the Casino Battle Royal at Double or Nothing, and so the people are mentioning we could see a Christian Cage heel turn, possibly he ends up turning on Jungle Boy. We see maybe a feud between them. Of course, we got Jungle Boy versus Kenny Omega first, but that could be another program we could be stepping into after Christian is done with Matt Hardy.
Mm-hmm. We'll see what happens with the Christian Hardy feud. But before we get into the next segment, we got this big it was a night of announcements. Really, back-to-back segments with announcements. Tony Schiavone announced we're getting 4 special shows in July for AEW. Every single show in July is a themed show for AEW. We have Road Rager, that's a tongue twister. Road Rager, July 7th in Miami, Florida. We have a match set for the show on that. We're going to talk about that next. July 14th is night 1 of Fyter Fest. July 21st is night 2 of Fyter Fest. And July 28th from North Carolina is going to be Fight for the Fallen. So we got a stacked lineup for the month of July, man. Holy shit, what a big month it's going to be for AEW.
And I'm ready for July to go ahead and get here, man. I mean, July, this is the comeback of the fans. I mean, it's going to be electric, man. I mean, there's no doubt about it that AEW is definitely going to deliver some banger episodes of Dynamite in the month of July. Road Rager first coming up in Miami. The next 2 shows in Texas going to be night 1 and night 2 of Fyter Fest, and then Fight for the Fallen in North Carolina. And man, I cannot wait. I'm assuming that the Road Rager name was probably not originally planned for the Miami show, because of course the last time AEW was in Miami it was for Bash at the Beach, but of course AEW doesn't own that trademark anymore. Now WWE has that trademark once again, so they obviously can't use the Bash at the Beach name. I'm assuming that's probably what they were going to go for originally, but they settled with Road Rager. Not as cool of a name, but it'll do. I mean, I'm just happy that we're going to get 4 special episodes of Dynamite in the entire month of July. I mean, we're blessed as wrestling fans, Joseph. I have to say,
We're blessed as AEW fans, man. And even for these 4 shows to be in full capacity, I'm pumped about that, dude. I really am.
Yeah, it's going to be the AEW from before the pandemic, man. I mean, I'm just so ready for these shows to happen and for those loud, roaring AEW fans to just go wild.
And we have our first match set for Road Rager, as we had Cody Rhodes's big announcement, and he came out there, and I think Tony Schiavone said that next week on Dynamite is going to be, we're going to have a debut on Dynamite, and I'm starting to laugh because I think you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Take it, dude.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so Tony Schiavone grabbed the mic, and he announced Cody's partner for next week against Aaron Solo and QT Marshall, and he said the first name, Brock. Now, I think if you're a wrestling fan, there's going to be a certain individual that comes to mind when you hear the name Brock, but it was not the Brock that we were all originally thinking. It was Brock Anderson, the son of Double-A Arn Anderson. I swear if it was Brock Lesnar, I don't know what I would have done with myself. I think Schiavone had everybody on the edge of their seat when he said Brock, and everybody just I think the whole world just went, Whoa, what? But no, it's Brock Anderson. I think he's a student of the Nightmare Factory, obviously the son of Double A Arn Anderson. Man, he looks so much like Arn. He's literally a younger version of Arn with hair. It's pretty wild looking. But of course, father son, look alike there. But yeah, Brock Anderson making his debut with AEW next week with Cody Rhodes. I'm interested to see what he does. I'm pretty sure we're going to see a spine buster at some point. I feel like that's kind of a given if you're the son of Arn Anderson. But it should be an interesting tag match. And of course, we got Cody Rhodes versus QT Marshall in a South Beach strap match at the Road Rager event July 7th. I'm assuming, and I mentioned this on Twitter tonight, I'm assuming this will probably be Cody being sent away. QT will probably win that match since he lost their last match at Blood and Guts. So he'll probably win this one. Cody will be sent away to go be a father to his newborn daughter with Brandy Rhodes, and then we'll go on to see what QT and the Factory do next after that.
I pray to God that this feud's over after this strap match, because and now it's just to the point where, okay, 1 week we're gonna have this match, the next week we're gonna have a promo segment, the next week we're gonna have a match, and we have another match. I'm getting so tired of it, dude. That's kind. I don't want to mention them, but this feels like WWE storyline to me. I'm just tired of it. Like we said a couple weeks ago, Cody Rhodes is so much better than a storyline like this. But I do agree. If Go is not going to be the guy that sends Cody Rhodes away, the second guy I would probably have on that list is QT Marshall. So at Cody went over at Blood and Guts. Cody went over at Double or Nothing against the Go, and if QT Marshall wins this match, which he should, I'd have absolutely no problem with that at all. So, basic segment, I guess, and those were your big announcement. We're getting the debut of Brock Anderson, not Lesnar. I would have popped if it was Lesnar.
I don't know what I mean, like the fact that they would have just dropped that, like in the middle of like a segment like that, it's like, hey, oh yeah, Brock Lesnar. What? Like, I mean, because of course people have speculated, but I don't ever see it happening though. Brock Lesnar in AEW, just personally, I don't see it happening.
Personally, I don't want to see it happen.
Yeah, Brock Lesnar. Is as great as he is, as big of a name as he is. He just doesn't fit AEW. I feel like it wouldn't even be right for him to show up in AEW. So,
yeah, go get Tommy and go get Tommy and Tony.
Please, Tommy N, please. He's already selling his merch, and I honestly kind of want to maybe get that Tommy N shirt that he just released. I don't know.
Yeah. So we're gonna move on here. We had Eddie Kingston, Pac, and Penta go up against the Young Bucks and Brandon Cutler. Dude, this match was awesome. This was probably the match I enjoyed the most tonight. Super fun, nonstop. All guys play their role right. Brandon Cutler. I thought it was funny how he was in the match and he was still doing the whole camera thing with the Young Bucks. He ate the pin here, expectedly. Pac gave him the the Black Arrow for the win. What I've really liked about this match is how the commentary team brought up the past history of Eddie Kingston and Pac and just did not ignore it and be like, oh, everybody's on the same page. Normal tags. These guys had tension with each other. It was forced like they had to do stuff because they had to work together. But I really like that they didn't ignore the history and they brought up, hey, these guys are on the same team, but they don't like each other. I like that. I like that a lot. And again, if it was WWE, they wouldn't do a thing about it. So
how will they coexist? Because we haven't played out this whole storyline 15 billion freaking Like, I mean, when AEW does it, see, it goes to show you night and day with WWE main roster booking and then with AEW booking. WWE main roster will do this. How will they coexist? They're fighting each other at the pay-per-view. Let's put them in a tag team match. See, here it works because you have the history with Eddie Kingston and Pac. These guys don't like each other, but they were able to work together as a cohesive unit and get the win for their team. And it wasn't some dumb, overplayed storyline where they're about to face each other at the pay-per-view and then they can't coexist as a tag team. What do you know? It's just it goes to show you just the night and day resemblance here. Like you got WWE with their nonsensical repetitive booking, and then you have AEW doing it the smart way, bringing up history, how vital that is to the overall story.
You know what else is too? It didn't come off forced. When it's on Raw or SmackDown, it comes off forced. Like Charlotte and Rhea team up on Raw this week. I couldn't give a shit about it. Like this felt realistic,
Yeah, I mean it goes to show you the depth and the care that AEW puts into their characters and puts into the wrestlers themselves. It's not just some forced agenda to like get over a few or to get a feud over or something like that. It's organic. You can just tell the immediate difference.
Mm-hmm. So the faces get their win. They get their win over the Young Bucks and Brandon Cutler. After the match, the Young Bucks attack all the baby faces. Out come the Good Brothers. Frankie Kazarian, who they're calling him now the Elite Haunter, attacks the Good Brothers, clotheslines Doc Gallows over the rope, and Eddie Kingston and all the rest of the faces stand tall over the Elite. So that's what that is this week. So final thoughts on the match.
Yeah, I thought this probably was the best match of the night here. This was a very, very fun six-man tag. I really didn't think it was going to be probably as explosive as it was, but I think when you got guys like the Young Bucks and Pac and Eddie Kingston and Pentagon in there, I mean, you're bound to have a pretty stellar match. But yeah, this was definitely an awesome, super fun six-man tag. The right people won here. The right person took the fall, and Brandon Cutler. I pretty much knew going this, Brandon Cutler was going to take the fall. I'm loving the Elite Hunter gimmick that Frankie Kazarian is tacked on, and I love the fact that he's coming out in street clothes. He's got a rugged beard and stuff. I mean, he looks like a badass. He really does. Like when Frankie Kazarian's coming out just like that. I mean, it's little details like that really go a long way. And so I'm really enjoying this whole new gimmick that Frankie Kazarian's tacked on ever since him and Christopher Daniels lost to the Young Bucks for the tag team titles. But next week we got another six-man tag. I'm starting to kind of like lose a little bit of interest in the repetitive six-man tags. It's like I kind of feel like that's like an easy out for AEW. It's like I kind of would like to see something else play out in this story rather than just let's throw another six-man tag. It's like I was fine with it last week and then this week, but next week we got another one set up. I think it's Frankie, Pac, and I believe Eddie Kingston versus
Frankie Penta and Eddie Kingston.
Okay, Frankie Penta and Eddie Kingston versus good Matt Jackson. So we got another six-man tag. I mean, should be good, but I mean, I'm hoping they just kind of end off these six-man tags because they're just kind of becoming repetitive now.
Next, we had all the members of the Pinnacle standing in the ring. FTR cut a promo on Santana and Ortiz. It took you 2 years. You've been in AEW for 2 years and you've never had tag team gold. Once we walked in the first 3 months, we were the tag team champions. And they cut promos on Santana and Ortiz. And then Spears cut a promo on Sammy. And Wardlow cut a promo on Hager, which I like that they gave the microphone to Wardlow. A lot of people are not confident in Wardlow in the microphone. I thought he cut a good promo. I really did. And he accepted the MMA cage fight with Jake Hager, which is gonna happen next week. Now that's either gonna be really good or it's going to be a complete shit fest. I don't know what to expect, but we'll talk about that after the segment. MJF then cuts a promo on Jericho, denies his match. He talks about Sammy Guevara and says that you got your little lucky moment at Stadium Stampede, big moment in front of your fans, and then he says you have no right to step in the ring with me. And then and Jericho's like, on the Titantron, he's like, you know what happens when you deny the inner circle? We mess with you. So they beat up the limousine that the Pinnacle was riding in to start the show. And then you got Hager with a forklift who lifts it up and smashes the car. And they damage the Pinnacle's limousine. It's like, you boys are walking home tonight. So that was the segment. Very fun, very entertaining. I liked it, and I feel like this is the end of the Pinnacle and Inner Circle feud. I think this plays all the way up until early prediction. I think this feud's going to play all the way up until the All Out show, where it's going to be MJF versus Sammy Guevara.
I can definitely see that for sure. It looks like they're going to be doing the separate matches with Santana Ortiz versus FTR, and then you got Sammy versus Spears, and then then we got of course Hager versus Wardlow next week, and then MMA cage fight. If I'm going about that match next week, because like you said, Joseph, I mean it could be very good, or it could either be a complete natural disaster just waiting to happen next week. But if I'm going about it, I feel like next week that what they should do is literally just make it an actual shoot MMA fight. Like I feel like that's kind of the best route you probably want to go. Don't make it like a works fight because I feel like that's just gonna make it look. It's just gonna look bad if you work it like as a pro wrestling thing, but it's an MMA. Like don't do it like that. I feel like they literally should just go in. Like make it like an actual Bellator MMA fight, make it real. Don't even book a win. Don't even book a winner or a loser. Actually make it seem like who's the better out of the two. Is Hager this is Hager's playground. Or can Wardlow go in next week and maybe pull off an upset over Hager in his own domain. I enjoyed the promo from Wardlow tonight. I thought he delivered his lines very well. And I think Wardlow is so far looking like a pretty good promo guy, not just a good in ring worker, but also a good promo guy. But if I'm going about this cage fight next week, that's how I want to book it. Just book it straight up, shoot MMA fight. That's probably the best route you can really go about this. Not sure when we're gonna get Pinnacle FTR versus PNP, but I feel like that's something maybe you want to set up for one of those special shows in July. Maybe you could do it at that time. I like the idea that you brought up about MJF versus Sammy at All Out. Of course, MJF eyed Sammy in this promo tonight, and Sammy called MJF a little company bitch tonight, which was a great line by Sammy. I really enjoyed that. I'm definitely more into an MJF versus Sammy match more so than an MJF versus Jericho match. And of course, Jericho is one of my favorites of all time. I love Jericho, but I feel like we'd be in for a better match if we got MJF and Sammy versus Sammy instead.
Yeah, I'm not really interested in Jericho, but not Jericho, but another MJF Jericho match. But thinking about that match next week, I wouldn't mind if it's you know what, we're not going to book a winner. Whoever wins wins. Yeah. Just don't kill each other. But you guys are going to have a shoot fight. I would not mind that.
Yeah, it's literally the best route to just go because if you work it like a pro wrestling match, like a pro wrestling angle, I feel like you're just gonna be in for more of a disastrous showdown than more so than just an actual good MMA fight. I just feel like that's probably the best route you really want to go with it since they've already booked the match. So
yeah, I agree. So we'll have to see what happens. I hope it's good. At the end of the day, we just hope it's good.
Right.
So next we had the match I was looking for. I was shocked this didn't main event the show. We had Evil Uno versus Miro for the TNT Championship. They played a nice vignette for Evil Uno about Brody Lee and making Brody Lee proud by him being the one to bring the TNT Championship back to the Dark Order. Tell you what, man, they really made me want Evil Uno to win this match and win the TNT Championship. Once all the members of the Dark Order came out there, -1 was front and center. You had Evil Uno pointing at -1. He's going to be like, I'm going to do this for you. And then Miro was an absolute savage. He gives Evil Uno a super kick, and he puts the game over on Evil Uno, and Evil Uno taps out right in front of the Dark Order. And then after the match, Miro gives this nasty stare to all members of Dark Order, and he gives a nasty stare to -1 while holding up the TNT Championship. This was such a great match. Not my favorite match of the night, but I really did enjoy this match. By far, Miro's best TNT championship title defense so far. And I enjoyed it, man. This made Miro look like an absolute savage. Tony Khan is booking Miro the way he should have been on day one. And now he's using Miro to his best potential, which is absolutely killing challenger after challenger after challenger. I love it, dude. He's honestly, I don't know if it's a stretch, but he's one of my favorite things in AEW right now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's amazing how far Miro's come since, like, when we first saw him arrive in AEW, paired up in this horrible angle with Kip Sabian and everything. And man, it's like, it's just night and day with this whole thing with Miro. I mean, Miro might be the most unstoppable force in AEW as we speak. I mean, like, you know, you got Kenny Omega as the belt collector, as world champion, but man, you look at Miro. I mean, this guy is an actual, like, monster heel. You know, I mean, this dude is just destroying people left and right, and this is how you want to book a guy like Miro, man. The guy is a destructive force, and he will destroy anybody who will be in his path. And this was a great TNT title match between him and Evil Uno. Evil Uno is he really, I feel like, deserves more credit than what he's given. I mean, the guy is really underrated. I mean, he really succeeds in both tag team wrestling and in singles competition, as we've seen tonight. I believe this was his first singles match, or I think before on Elevation was his first singles match in AEW, but this one being his first ever, first time ever challenging for a singles title. But he did really well against Miro. I love the awesome touch. It was an excellent touch with Miro, locking in the game over on Evil Uno, right in front of the Dark Order, right in front of -1, and then Miro just taking that title and just smiling evilly right in their face. I mean, like, that's how you get a heel over right there, a heel champion over. Right? That's how you do it. I mean, and it's amazing how, WWE had Miro, I should say, in their grasp for so many years, and yet they never could, like, execute Miro as well as AEW has executed him. I mean, Tony Khan, I give Tony Khan all the credit in the world. He's really taken Miro and has taken him from where he was when he was in WWE and has really brought him to a whole nother level. He was down here, now he's just all the way up here now. And I mean, it's awesome to see, and I'm hoping Miro continues to have such an unstoppable run as TNT champion. I mean, he's definitely one of the best parts, I think, in all of pro wrestling right now.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So, great match. Miro retains, and I'm looking forward to more TNT title. Maybe we get another title defense on that Saturday night show. I would not mind that at all. So there's a lot of great people that you could put up against Miro on that roster. So, but before we move on, do you eventually think that the TNT Championship is going to come home to the Dark Order?
Maybe in some capacity. I don't know who really would do it. I feel like maybe your top contenders could be a Preston Vance and Dark Order number 10. I could see that. John Silver. I know he's definitely probably the most over guy in all the Dark Order at this time. He could very well do it. But I feel like when the place and the timing is right, I feel like the TNT Championship will be back in the grasp of the Dark Order one day.
Yeah, just right now it's not the time to do that, but I'm very happy for Evil Uno, man. He had a great. He's so underrated. Like, a lot of people, I feel like, don't appreciate him.
Yeah, he definitely him and Stu Grayson both deserve more credit than what they're given.
Absolutely. Next, we had Tony Schiavone in the ring once again. He interviews Kenny Omega and Don Callis, and they talk how good Jungle Boy is and how everybody loves Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy has everything, but the one thing he doesn't have is guts. Jungle Boy doesn't have the guts to beat me. And then his music plays out. The wrestlers are singing to his song. He doesn't do much. Kenny Omega just annoys him. and he grabs the microphone and he just says, "You talk too much." And Omega tries to attack him. Jungle Boy gets him. The Young Bucks come in. Jungle Boy smartly runs off, and showdown. Saturday Night Dynamite. I'm pumped for this match.
Yeah.
I can't wait. Jungle Boy has had outstanding matches in AEW. He's had matches, singles matches, with the likes of Chris Jericho, Cody Rhodes, Dax Harwood. Am I missing anybody else?
MJF, that match.
MJF.
Yeah, MJF. Yeah.
Yes. But at the end of the day, I think Kenny Omega is going to bring him to his best match in AEW. I really do. I'm glad this was originally supposed to be on tonight's Dynamite, which I'm glad it wasn't. That match needs to be in front of it needs to be on a live show. I hope that Saturday night show's at least 50%. Because you know, you need fans to be there for that match, and I really think Kenny's gonna bring Jungle Boy to his best match of his career. I really do. And to add on top of that, Kenny's working injured after after what I read today. Did you read the same thing?
I did read the same thing. I did hear about that. It goes to show you the type of worker that Kenny Omega is. There's a reason why he's called arguably the best wrestler in the world, is because he makes it look, like he's not even injured when he actually is injured when he's in the ring. But hopefully, he's going to be, still be healthy. He's going to be all right. Of course, we don't want him to further injure himself. But I'm super excited for the world title match between him and Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy, it's amazing how young he is and how he has grown such popularity since joining AEW. It's him and the Jurassic Express as a whole package have grown so much popularity within their time in AEW, man. And that definitely, I agree. You need at least 50% capacity for that match alone. That match right there should have a big audience for that. And it's going to be awesome. And tonight we saw Jungle Boy was just inches away from locking in that snare trap, just inches away. And that, who knows, maybe that's a sign to come Saturday, June 26th, I believe. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But I'm super excited. It definitely, I feel like will go down as one of the best matches all year round.
Oh, dude, I tweeted it out. I think this could be one of the best TV matches of the entire year. Like, you think of great TV matches in wrestling this year, you have Ray Phoenix and Kenny Omega. You have that Falls Count Anywhere match that happened with Kenta and Omega versus Mox and Lance Archer. There's a lot of great. The Pac and Phoenix versus the Young Bucks. 5-star match. Probably some matches on NXT as well. I just don't remember them. Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns on SmackDown. Excellent Universal title match. I really think this could be up there for a top television match in all of wrestling this year. These guys need to be in front of at least 50%, and these guys need to be given at least, bare minimum, 20 minutes to go out there and do what we know they can do,
Absolutely. It's definitely going to be a match that nobody should, not be tuning in for when it comes to that Saturday show.
Absolutely. Very quickly, Lance Archer defeated this guy named Chandler Hawkins in 1 minute. R.I.P. Chandler. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, very in and out. This was a very, very, very short match. Archer just did his business and left. Just stormed right out. I'm not sure. I mentioned this on Twitter. I'm not sure which direction they're going with Archer. I'm hoping though that he's going to be involved in something important coming up, because of course we last saw him. He lost his TNT title match against Miro at Double or Nothing. But yeah, I'm hoping they have something good planned for Archer. I feel like they do. I feel like they did this tonight to maybe set up something going forward. But I'm a big fan of Lance Archer, and I really want him to succeed as much as possible in AEW. And so I'm hoping they'll have something good set up for him here in the near future.
Next, we had Nyla Rose versus legit Layla Hirsch, and this was actually very good. I was kind of having a hard time getting into it earlier, but the last couple minutes of this match was really fun. Layla Hirsch is so underrated, dude. She has done great in AEW, I think. I want her to get pushed, just like Red Velvet, just like I think Jade's gonna get pushed. So, but I really want hopefully AEW to push Layla Hirsch because I know she's small, but she has that background of Shayna Baszler. She can be AEW's version of NXT Shayna Baszler. So, not main roster Shayna Baszler, NXT Shayna Baszler. But
we
this
don't need to talk about main roster Shayna.
no,
We
no.
don't need to talk about that.
But this match was very good, I thought. Nyla Rose gets the beast bomb from the top rope, and clearly they're setting Nyla Rose up to be Britt Baker's first challenger. I have absolutely no problem with that. I don't care if it's heel versus heel. In my eyes, Britt Baker's a face because who doesn't like Britt Baker? Everybody loves her. So Britt Baker's the face in this feud by far. And they're setting Nyla Rose up to be her first challenger. And you know what? I don't have a problem with that at all. I think I'm fine with it. So, and they've had great matches in the past. So, very good match between Nyla and Layla Hirsch.
Yeah, I agree, definitely. This was definitely a good match, good women's match on the show tonight. Layla Hirsch is definitely one of the promising young stars in the women's division. I've been a pretty big fan of hers since she first arrived. I feel like she's definitely got a lot of potential, as does a lot of other women in AEW. But Layla Hirsch is, she might be smaller than the other women, but I think she makes up for it with her ability in the ring and with her background with submissions and technical wrestling. I feel like she really just solidifies that, and she really thrives in that environment. And I thought she put on a really good match here with Nyla Rose tonight. And yeah, we're definitely getting Nyla Rose versus Britt Baker for the women's championship in a later on program. It'll probably happen to one of the theme shows that we got in July. I could definitely see that happening. But we've seen in the past, the last match I remember with Nyla Rose and Britt Baker being in the women's tournament, that was a great match, probably one of the best matches of the entire tournament. I really, really enjoyed that match. And so this will be Britt's first title defense. I don't mind it at all. I think Nyla Rose is a great first challenger for Britt Baker and the DMD reign.
So next week we have another Friday night episode. Thankfully, it's the last one. Thank God. We have Eddie Kingston, Penta, and Frankie Kazarian against the Good Brothers of Mac Jackson. Cody Rhodes teaming up with Brock Anderson, Arn Anderson's son, to go up against QT Marshall and Aaron Solo. We have Darby Allin versus Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky in a handicap match. And we have the Jake Hager Wardlow MMA cage fight. Also, since my guy Wesley Williams wasn't here last week, we have to talk about it. Next week, Jim Ross is going to interview the newly debuted Andrade El Idolo, and I gave my thoughts on it last week, and now I turn the ball to your court, dude. Since you weren't here last week, say what you gotta say.
I gotta say, well, we had quite the debut last Friday night, as we saw the debut of one Andrade El Idolo. And man, I could not be happier to see such a talented man in a place where he belongs, and that's all elite wrestling. And man, just that 30-second vignette they played for him tonight made him look way more over than WWE ever did with him on the main roster. Just that one freaking vignette put him way more over and made him look way important than WWE ever did with him. It's unbelievable how AEW can just make somebody look like a superstar in just a little 30-second vignette like that. But man, we got a sit-down interview with Andrade next week with Jim Ross. We're gonna hear what he has to say. I don't know when you debut Andrade. I definitely feel like one of the July shows you got to debut Andrade in the ring. And, I got a great first opponent for him that I feel like would work perfectly is Matt Sydal. I think Matt Sydal will be a great first opponent for Andrade because Matt Sydal has shown that he is quite the workhorse in AEW. He's a guy that you can definitely have a solid hand to put on a great match with just about anybody on the roster. and still look good in defeat. He wouldn't even look bad in defeat. He would be tying it up with one of the best in the world in Andrade. And, man, I couldn't be happier for Andrade. I'm so happy he's now. Man, we can start thinking about the dream matches, man. All the dream matches in the world that we can see with Andrade and all the great talent that AEW has on their roster, man. And I'm super excited. I like the fact too that Vicky Guerrero is his manager too. I think that's a nice little mix there. It sucks that we're not getting the pairing of Andrade and Thea Trinidad again, like we saw during their time in WWE. But it is what it is. I'm just happy to see Andrade in AEW, man. Great spot for him to be in, and you already know AEW is going to make him look like $1 million freaking bucks.
Ooh, Matt side. I didn't even think about that, dude. That's an awesome match. Yeah. Smart thinking right there. But you know what?
Thinking like a fan, man. Thinking like a true wrestling fan.
Yeah, I wouldn't have Andrade debuted on a random Dynamite. So I'd probably do it at that first show in July, the Road Rager show. I agree with you. Matt Sydal versus Andrade. I really can't think of anybody else, but I was thinking of Cody, but I think Cody he's probably gonna leave soon. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think it's gonna be him. So we'll have to see what happens. He's got an interview with Jim Ross next week. Main event, we had Dark Order 10 and Hangman Page go up against Powerhouse Hobbs and Brian Cage. This was a very good main event. I enjoyed it for the amount of time they got. The main takeaway for this match was when Ricky Starks was out there, he gave Brian Cage the FTW title to hit the 10. Brian Cage throws the FTW championship outside of the ring. Ricky Starks is all pissed off. He slaps him right in the face. You don't piss off the machine like that, dude. So Brian Cage goes after Ricky Starks, chases him to the back. So Taz is all pissed off. Hobbs is in it alone. He hits a spine buster on 10, but 10 kicks out. 10 hits his own spine buster to Hobbs. Hobbs gets back up. He eats a buckshot lariat from Page. 10 gets the cover, and 10 gets the win for himself and Hangman. And the show closes where the entire Dark Order and -1 are drinking beers. Besides -1, of course, he's drinking a bottle of water. The rest of them are drinking beers, though. And
can't have underage drinking on the show. Sorry.
I almost messed up there, but it was a good ending. It was fun, and that was the way they closed Dynamite.
Yeah, very, very solid main event. Yeah, I figured with them putting this in the main event that some sort of angle was going to be set up, and obviously Brian Cage is turning babyface. We talked about this in previous reviews. They've been building up more and more. Brian Cage is definitely turning face. When it happens, like fully, I don't really know, but this definitely is like the full-on, I think, catalyst for that with Ricky Starks trying to get Brian Cage to cheat to win. Brian Cage is like, no, I'm not doing it. I want to beat him on my own accord. And then Ricky Starks slapping him in the face, and then Brian Cage chasing him to the back. I mean, it's all setting it up. And then Taz, of course, pissed off on commentary. He's definitely gonna have some words for the machine. But yeah, and then of course I love the happy ending with the Hangman and the Dark Order celebrating with beers. That was very nice. But yeah, I mean, overall this was a very, very fun show. I mean, this flowed a lot better than last week. I felt like last week with the crowd and stuff too, it just didn't really click as well as it really should have. It was still a good show last week in my opinion, but it wasn't as explosive as we're used to. I think tonight felt like a regular Dynamite episode that this flows really nicely through the 2 hours, and you're left with wanting more, and you got that just happy, exciting feeling inside of you.
When does Ricky Starks, before we end the review tonight, when does Ricky Starks come back?
I believe he's out for a few months, so he's not going to be back for a while.
Oof, I would love to see him back by All Out, because I think him versus Brian Cage would be a great match to have at the pay-per-view.
I'm not sure how the recovery process is going for Ricky, but I'm hoping it's going as good as it possibly can. I would love to see him back as soon as possible, but I guess maybe if you don't have Starks available, you can probably just do Brian Cage versus Hobbs. I guess for in some sort of program between them.
Yeah, that's probably a Dynamite match, though. I think so.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Definitely, Brian Cage versus Starks is definitely a pay-per-view match for sure.
Yes.
I mean, it doesn't. It's Cage versus Hobbs doesn't feel as important as like a Cage versus Starks match would.
Yes. So I just wanted to bring that up real quick. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap up the AEW review tonight. I want to thank each and every one of you who tuned into the review. Be sure to subscribe to the Big Fight Field channel. Sunday night, myself and Cameron Johnson are going to do the NXT TakeOver In Your House review right after the show. It'll be up about an hour after the show is over. So be sure to check your sub boxes. And then Monday afternoon, it'll be myself and Wesley Williams interviewing AEW superstar Danny Limelight. We're gonna ask him a bunch of questions. It'll be fun. I'm gonna try to be as professional as possible. So it's my first interviewing a wrestler, and yours too, right?
Yes, exactly. Yes, this is a big time interview, big time video, folks. You don't want to miss out on Monday night. Thank you so much for taking time out of your evening, this late evening, or whenever you're watching this, to watch us talk about the best pro wrestling product in the entire world, and that's AEW Dynamite. Folks, we got one more Friday show next week, and then we're finally done with these Friday shows. And then we got that big Saturday show, June 26th. And then, of course, once July starts, we got all those theme shows, and I cannot wait to talk about all that right here on Big Five Phil. Folks, do not miss out on any content you have. And also, I will want to plug my socials right here, right now, as you already know, at big_West18 on Twitter. That is BIG_WES18. And I wanted to make a little announcement here. I will be sending out my NXT TakeOver In Your House predictions tweet tomorrow on Twitter on my account. So stay tuned for that. I have not forgotten about NXT TakeOver this Sunday. I will be live tweeting for that show. I'll have my predictions up tomorrow. I think sometime tomorrow evening I'll have my predictions out in the form of a tweet. So make sure you tune in for that. And of course, folks, tune in for that big Monday interview with AEW's Danny Limelight, the Radioactive Poppy, folks. Biggest video yet. You don't want to miss out. We got a lot of questions to ask Danny Limelight. So folks, make sure you tune in, subscribe, hit the like button. Leave down in the comments below what your favorite match of the night was, what your favorite moments. And, folks, we're going to be right back with you on Monday with Danny Limelight. Folks, do not miss out.
Be sure to comment below your thoughts about tonight's Dynamite. Hit the like button if you like what you heard from myself and Wesley Williams. And you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Colin_Joseph. We will see you Monday here with AEW superstar Danny Limelight. And I will see you Sunday night with Cameron Johnson to talk about NXT TakeOver In Your House. So, folks, have a good night, stay safe, and as always, stay classy.